And just like that, we are now heading into the last quarter of 2024. Who would have thought that the year would go by that fast? That being said, as I'm sure what you're here to see is the market update report for the area of Mandarin here in Jacksonville for September 2024. This is going to be our last market update for the third quarter of 2024. So it's going to be really great to kind of see how the market's changed, as well as what we're seeing currently going on in the market here, with the fact that we are towards the end of the year, which tends to be a bit of a slower time of the year for Jacksonville real estate due to seasonality trends. So with that being said though, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go for a second. And when we come back, we're going to go through all of the information, all the data from September 2024 for Mandarin. All right, so before we go into the Mandarin market update report, I first want to just make sure I mention it, but please, if you haven't yet, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you get notified when we post more content like this in the future. That being said, for the Mandarin area, Mandarin's a very popular area within Jacksonville. It's probably one of the most desirable areas in Jacksonville, or Duval County, so to speak. Because really when you talk about Jacksonville, Jacksonville has four main counties that really kind of make up what people think of when they think of Jacksonville. It has Duval County, which is kind of that center county. You have Nassau County to the north, you have Clay County to the southwest, and then you have St. Johns County to the south. So realistically, those are the four counties that make up Jacksonville, but the county that really is more the heart and soul of Jacksonville is going to be Duval County. And Mandarin is one of the top areas in Duval County as far as places that people want to be for many different reasons: for schools, for shopping, for restaurants, for just the general social feel of the area. And Mandarin's going to be more closer to the river, the St. Johns River, and you're going to have some areas on the water as well as some more inland areas as well within this area of Mandarin. It's also going to be your most southern point of Duval County before you go into St. Johns County. So to get started with this, we are going to look at the amount of homes that were pending in September compared to the amount of total homes on the market in September. Now what we saw is we had 258 homes pending in September, left us with 1,063 homes still available for sale, total of 1,321 total homes, and this gave us a pendulous ratio of 19.5%. So almost 20% of the homes that were available were under contract at the end of September. That is pretty good, all things considered, but it's still considered a bit of a somewhat slow market due to the current inventory. Typically, you want to see inventory to be over 20% as far as that pendulous ratio, and so we're just about there. And it's a little bit less than it was last month. And what we're seeing with this, the reason why the data is looking this way is, again, because of a lot of different factors, the biggest one being seasonality. So normally when we get to September, now this year especially, but normally to September, school starts back up. We tend to be in the heart of hurricane season, which sometimes has people a little bit on the fence. But then also this year we have elections. That's another piece that sometimes slows in the market. We still have higher rates. Now rates have started to come down some as of the recording this video. And the idea is that rates are going to continue to go down as we go into 2025 and 2026. But for right now, there's a lot of buyers out there who ultimately, are a little bit on the fence and hoping rates will come down some. What that is doing is that's leaving inventory at a little bit of an elevated rate compared to years past, which is why we're seeing that somewhat slow, current inventory for the area. Now, as we go into future months and obviously future years, we do tend to see that demand should start to come up some. Supply, therefore, will come down some, and we will probably go into somewhat more of a semi-seller's market, but overall more still of an equilibrium market like we're seeing right now. Now, when we take a closer look, we see that homes in that $500,000 to $600,000 price range made up the largest amount of homes under contract. Again, that's a very good price point for the area. It's a very common price point for the area, so it's not surprising that's really where the contracts are kind of falling into place for this area. We also saw that homes between $400,000 and $500,000 price range made up the relatively largest amount of homes available. So really anywhere from about $350,000 to $650,000 is going to be your ideal target price point for Mandarin. And so that's why you're seeing a lot of homes on the market in that price range, as well as a lot of homes under contract in that price range. Now, obviously, when you dial it in, to much smaller ranges, that's when you really start to kind of see the discrepancies. But the overall range of 350 to 650 is what's probably considered more that ideal price point for the area. Now, for all homes on the market, we did see the median list price was at that $560, $990 price point. So again, still falls in that range that I had just mentioned. Then from there, we're going to look at the amount of homes for sale compared to the contracts pending. And this is why we're seeing, realistically, this is why we're seeing, more inventory, is because there really is more inventory. In this case, what we see here is that homes in that $300,000, to about $700,000 price point, there are a lot of homes available. Now, there are a lot of sales, pending. As you can see, the most sales pending are between that, say, $400,000 and $700,000 price range, but we also have the most amount of homes available. So there is good demand, but there's better supply right now. And what we're seeing is there's a lot of buyers who are kind of just taking it slow because they can, unlike years past. And that's allowing inventory to keep increasing without the demand, compensating for that increased inventory. Now, for the area of Mandarin, we did see that there was about just under 1,700 homes that sold in the last 6 months. They sold for roughly a median price point of $545. So as you can see there, the sales are around $545. The listings around $560, $561. So what you're seeing with that is you're seeing a little bit of a leveling off of the market for Mandarin. That's actually that we're seeing across the board. But in this case with Mandarin, we're seeing it very, clean cut, easy to kind of tell with that. And ultimately it's a good sign if you're a buyer. If you're a seller, it just means that you have some flexibility knowing that, your price 6 months ago, if you were kind of thinking about waiting to sell, same as it is now, and maybe the same 6 months from now. Ultimately a lot of it comes down and is dictated by market conditions and, mainly interest rates and seasonality trends. We did see too for Mandarin, there was a total of 335 listings that failed to sell. That's not really uncommon. Homes fail to sell all the time. But if that's something that we start to see elevate tremendously, more in that 400 to 500 to 600 home range in a 6 month time period, that's when the red flags would start to go off to some degree. That's when you start sounding the bells like, hey, what's going on with the market? At 335 for an area as big as Mandarin, it's going to encompass multiple zip codes. Not surprising to see that. Really just comes down to how that progresses in future months. Then from there, we are going to look at days on market. Now, days on market is a big factor when it comes to selling a house, because obviously if you're on the market for a certain amount of days, a lot of times you start to lose that negotiating power, that negotiating ability with buyers. A house on the market for a day that has multiple buyers interested is obviously going to have more negotiability as a seller than a house on the market 100 days with maybe one buyer interested. So days on market does play a big role. And what we see here in Mandarin is that the median days on market for the area is around 70 days on market. 70 days is definitely, it's a good length of time. You're a little over 2 months, and compared to years past, that would probably freak some people out watching this video. But I'm here to tell you that 70 days is not uncommon for where we're at prior to COVID. Homes do take a little bit longer to sell right now. It's not uncommon in years past. It's just uncommon in recent years past. And so realistically, what that means for you as a seller watching this video is it really comes down to how can I market my home in the best light possible to maximize my audience exposure to be able to get the best price possible and go on to the next house as quickly as possible. Sometimes, we always talk about this in real estate is, would you rather have your home sold in the first couple of days, and maybe of gotten the price you wanted, even though maybe there was more room on the table, or would you rather wait, 3-6 months, depending on how long it takes, and actually end up lower than if you had just started at that original price that may have been slightly less than what the market supported, but was still getting you the number you wanted. That's something you have to always take into account, because sometimes you only get one shot in the market. So if you only have one shot in the market, you want to make sure you maximize that market exposure. So that does become a big piece of it. But 70 days, again, that is something that, I'm sure people would like to see that less, but not uncommon for what we normally see here in Mandarin in years past, just not during COVID. Now, how does that relate to homes that are selling? Well, what I can tell you is in the last 6 months, the data supports that homes sold in about 37 days, again, for that $545 price. So realistically, the homes that are selling are not taking as long, and honestly, about half the time to sell compared to the ones that are still in the market. You may ask yourself again this, why is that the case? Well, I'm here to tell you, a lot of times it can be for many different reasons. Again, the seller could have priced their home more aggressively. Seller's condition, again, maybe they put in $50,000 extra into their house for kitchen and bathroom upgrades or whole house improvements or had a pool. There's different factors sometimes that go into it, including also sometimes maybe it's in a section of Mandarin that's more desirable than other sections of Mandarin. So a lot of factors go into it, but at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is you had a lot of sellers that sold their house a little bit quicker, where they were just more open to the idea of being okay with negotiating, of being able to do what's needed to make a buyer happy, and ultimately that led them to getting their home sold fairly quickly. Now, how does that relate to the last month? Again, when we look at a 6-month window, especially right now, we're pulling in months of April, May, June, July, August, months that are really tending to be considered, that more higher, seasonality, higher demand timeframes. So when we look at the last month of September, we do see that the days on market increased. So we went from 37 days to 47 days. Now that 10-day difference may not seem like a lot, but in a lot of sellers' minds, that is a long time. But how did that relate to price? Did we see prices go up or down? Well, even though the days on market did go up, price actually also went up. So overall, what that's telling us is that there is still good demand in Mandarin. It's just taking a little bit longer for that demand to make their decisions and to go under contract on the house that you may be trying to sell. So just something to definitely take into account with that is you're going to get your house sold. It just may not be as quick as it may have been in years past. But you will get it sold and you will get top dollar for it. But also it does tell us too, if you're a buyer watching this, that the prices are staying pretty stagnant. They're not going down. So do keep that in mind. It's not like we're seeing $10, $20, $30, $50,000 price decreases. Maybe we'll see those for one-offs on the market currently. But they are staying pretty consistent. So you're not necessarily seeing what you saw during COVID, which was a 10,000 sometimes bump month over month for homes in the area. So that definitely does help buyers just as much as it helps sellers to know, what's going on. Now, the next piece of it is going to be the median listed sales ratio, which for this area was 99.1%. So that just means that sellers were getting almost 100% of what they're asking for, 99% of what they're asking for. It is a little bit of a deceiving number because it's not going to tell you, if the price came down $50,000 before the seller agreed to a contract. But it does tell you that typically when a seller is agreeing to a contract, they're not negotiating too much off of that. So if you're a buyer watching this video, just keep in mind the price you're seeing out there. If you're not comfortable with paying close to that price or getting some sort of concessions to help warrant that price, it may not be the right house for you. But the good part, there are going to be other options available for you due to the higher inventory. On the flip side, if you're a seller, the biggest thing I can tell you is, every house is different. It's hard to tell exactly, which house that sells quicker than the other. Sometimes it's easier than others to tell, sometimes not so much. But the good part for you, if you're watching this and you're selling your house or wanting to sell your house, is when you do get that buyer who's going to want to go under contract, ideally they're not going to be coming too much lower off your current list price. Again, original list price may be completely different. Our current list price, they are coming in pretty close to what you're going to be asking for. Then we're going to look at the absorption rate for the area. Now, for the last 6 months, we saw that the absorption rate for the area was about 3.8 months of inventory. So realistically, that means that if no new homes hit the market in the area, we'd probably be out of homes to sell in about 110 days. It seems like a lot of days, like a lot of time, but ultimately it does tend to lead to, or lean on the idea that it's still a seller's market. But future data, as we've already kind of seen, is starting to show that as future months update, that absorption rate, that months of inventory is going to most likely go up rather than down until we see some sort of factor to offset that, such as getting to March of next year, back in that typical seasonality, high demand period, or maybe we see rates come down enough to where you see a lot more buyers re-enter the market. Then from there, we're going to look at the graph or the table here, which really measures the absorption rate, the months of inventory on the market at different price points. And what you can see here is there's a lot of oranges. Now, oranges are considered a seller's market. But what I want to tell you with that is, even though it's considered a seller's market, it does kind of highlight the fact that we are starting to go into that equilibrium market where it's not a seller's market, not a buyer's market. And so ultimately, as we'll see in future videos, there will be more inventory in the market, so these oranges may turn yellow. The reds may turn orange, and ultimately all it means is that there is going to be more competition to get your home sold if you're selling, and less competition to find the house and have others you're competing with if you're buying. So with that being said, if you want to know more about the market in Mandarin, if you want to know more about what it truly means to buy a house in this area with the current market trends, in the link of this video, in the description of this video, is a link to my calendar. Feel free to set the time for us to meet face to face through Zoom, or you can call me. My phone number will also be in the description of this video. I'd love to help answer any questions you and your family may have as far as it relates to buying or selling here in Mandarin, and really just helping you with your move to Jacksonville or within Jacksonville. I'm born and raised here in Jacksonville. I'm a Duval, born and raised, Duval till we die, as they say. And so ultimately, it's one of those things that I love to be able to help provide as much knowledge on the area as possible. So that way, when you do decide to make the next move or the first move, or even if you're not loving Jacksonville, moving out of Jacksonville, I want to make sure I'm here to be a great source for you and your family to make the best and most informed decision as possible for that move. And if you stayed till the end of this video, I hope you liked it, but if you haven't yet, please like this video and subscribe to our channel, Everything Jax Real Estate, because as one thing we want to do is we want to be able to help providing such great resources to you and your family, and helping grow our channel plays a big role in that. So that would definitely help us tremendously, and we really appreciate it. And if you have any other questions, you can always drop them in the comment section below. We always make sure to get back with them as soon as we can, to make sure that they're not left unanswered. With that being said, I will see you guys in our next market update for October, here in a couple weeks. So definitely stay tuned for that one. And until then, see you guys again.